Happy Thursday, everybody. It's chamber check-in time. And today I have Bird, government partnerships of the whole entire Pacific Northwest, TJ Burkle with us today. Hi, TJ.
Hi there. Great to see you. Great to be with you.
Hey, thanks for carving out a little time today with me to talk about micromobility and kind of the Bird story and get us up to speed on micromobility here in the Treasure Valley and across the nation, which I think is so cool. But before we get to you, TJ, I get to thank our series sponsor. And as you know, it's Delta Dental of Idaho. And TJ, they provide best in class dental insurance benefits to businesses and citizens of Idaho. And they've been doing it for over 50 years. And with that, I'm going to share a fun factoid from their Tooth Truth series. Here we go.
Dental benefits are a smart and affordable investment for small businesses. Why? Some plans cost less than $1 per day per employee. You're more attractive to prospective employees. Plus, good dental health leads to good overall health, helping employees unleash their smile power and save money. Help keep your employees smiling with Delta Dental plans to meet your small business needs.
Thank you, Delta Dental. So TJ, where are you at today?
Well, Bird is a fully remote company. So I'm based in Bend, Oregon, which is where I live. So I'm in my home office today, but I cover 6 states in the Northwest. Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Alaska, Montana, and Colorado.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of coverage. That's a lot of windshield time, TJ.
For sure, but I've made the drive from Bend to Boise many times.
I love that, and thanks for your partnership with us. Which brings me to just another quick question. I know we didn't even talk about this, but how many employees are there nationwide or globally with Bird? How many are there?
I think we're in the several hundred now. I think we're over 400 employees now. It's been a really, the industry is only 5 years old, and it's been a really, I could talk about that a little bit if you want, Paul, just kind of
Well, yeah, I'd love to hear kind of the origin story of Bird. And then that'll always prime me for other questions too. So go ahead, TJ, tell us the origin story of Bird and kind of micromobility as a whole.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it's really kind of fascinating. Like I said, the industry is only about 5 years old. Bird is the kind of the category creator, really. Our founder literally started with 10 scooters that he bought off the shelf and put on the street in California. And, within about a year or so, we were rapidly expanding across the US. We were launching in places like Paris and Tel Aviv. And it's really, that's been Bird's story and honestly, some of our competitors too. Like the industry's just kind of exploded to the point where in last fall, in the November of 2021, Bird went public. And so now I wrote this down so I don't get it wrong. According to the North American Bike Share and Scooter Share Association, there are roughly 300 North American cities with some form of shared micromobility as of 2021. And so I should get into maybe a little bit of the specifics about how these programs work. So generally shared micromobility refers to either a bike share program or a scooter share program or both. And we're talking shared e-scooters and e-bikes usually in these instances. And so like a lot of you hopefully have seen in Boise, if you haven't had a chance, download the Bird app, go to the website bird.co, download the app. And then basically there's a QR code on each scooter. And you open up the app, you scan the QR code to unlock the scooter. The first time you use the app, you'll have to enter your payment information, do some safety tutorials. I should make very clear, you have to be 18 or older to ride a scooter. We want everyone to wear a helmet. There's certain, places where you can and can't ride. So we want to make sure we're following all the proper safety protocols. And then after you kind of do that the first time, then it's very smooth after that. Every time you want to ride a scooter, you literally use the app to unlock the scooter. And then it's usually $1 to unlock, and then a per minute ride fee. I think in Boise it's about 42 to 45 cents a minute, somewhere around there. And so it's really cool because I think there's a lot of different uses when it comes to micro mobility, and scooters are obviously fun. Yeah. Scooters and e-bikes are obviously a lot of fun. But I think people have used them. All these cities are looking for solutions when it comes to transportation infrastructure, and funding is sometimes an issue. And the way we work is it doesn't cost the city anything, right? And the city actually gets revenue from each ride. And so we pay a fee, or usually it's a sales tax or a per ride fee to the city. And so, this is a last mile solution for people. It's a solution for people to commute to school or their jobs, whatever the case may be. And so, I don't want to suggest that micromobility can solve every city's every transportation problem or need, but we've definitely seen it become part of the solution. And I think that's why we've seen such rapid adoption, Paul.
I wonder if the reason the founder started it was, as a business entrepreneur, but I wonder if there was some reasoning behind, less traffic, less carbon footprint. Tell me a little bit about the why, TJ.
Well, that's absolutely it. I mean, I think we're a very mission-driven company, and it's all about, cleaner air, cleaner communities, replacing car trips, right? Taking cars off the road, and really providing people another option for transportation, another mode of transportation, right? And in fact, I don't think I mentioned this, but just the 300 bike and scooter share programs across North America that I referenced, that's responsible for reducing carbon emissions by 54 million pounds, right? By reducing car trips and taking cars off the road. And we have some data at Bird, just Bird specific data that shows upwards of 25% Bird rides replacing 25% of car trips in a given city. So you're absolutely right, and that mission is kind of at the core of everything that we do, right? And trying to give people a safe, fun, and clean way to get around.
Well, I know that mission is important to you as well, and you and I have met several times, and we've talked about our whys. But tell me a little bit about your history, and when did you get involved with Bird, and why?
Sure. I started Bird in January, so I've only been here for about 7 or 8 months, whatever that is.
Wow.
And I'm new to the industry. So my career was in sort of government, and then lobbying and government affairs after that. So I spent the bulk of my career actually in Washington, D.C. So I'm originally a Nebraska boy. So I started working on Capitol Hill at my first 5 or 6 years of my career. I worked for 2 different U.S. senators from Nebraska. So sort of had the staffer angle, which is it's long days, but really, really fulfilling work when you're working for your home state senator, that sort of thing. And then I worked for a few different industries after that. I was a federal lobbyist doing government relations work for Darden Restaurants, which owns a number of restaurant chains, for MasterCard. I went out on my own, kind of hung out a shingle, and had my own kind of small lobbying consulting firm for a while. And then we made a decision as a family. My wife is from Oregon. We've got 3 small kids. And so we made the decision as a family to move to Bend about a little over 4 years ago. And when we did that, I actually came back with Darden Restaurants, who I had worked for before, and started doing state and local government relations work for them. So covering state capitals and state legislatures and city councils in the western part of the country. And so that's kind of how we got out to this part of the country, and how that was my first experience in terms of anything away from the federal government relations piece. And then I got connected with the Bird folks kind of last summer or fall, and just started having some conversations. And one thing I really like, Paul, I mean, I think I mentioned the industry is really rapidly evolved and rapidly grown. And I think there's been a realization, certainly at Bird there has been, that we want to make cities our long-term partners, and we want to invest in these relationships. And so they've kind of started looking for people, I guess, like me, who have the background in working for elected officials, dealing with elected officials, working on public policy, and really trying to be, a proactive partner in the communities where we operate.
Well, you're proving that, TJ, by the amount of time you're spending here and the investment that Bird's made in not only in the scooters and allowing those opportunities for less traffic and less carbon footprint, but then you're investing in the community by joining the chamber. I mean, that just shows right there that the Bird's culture is really putting its money where its mouth is, and hiring people like you and being involved in the communities that they're serving. So let's talk a little bit about the Boise community. Talk about the scooters here in town. Tell us a little bit about what's the breadth of coverage that you have here, and if I go, download the app and hop on a scooter, where can I go, and what's the availability?
Sure. Yeah, and thank you for saying that, Paul. I've really enjoyed covering Boise. We launched there in 2018. We currently have 250 scooters in the city. We're one of 3 operators right now. So Lime and Spin are the other 2 operators. So we each have 250 scooters throughout the city. But you're right, and we really have. We're members of the Boise Chamber. We've partnered with Downtown Boise on an event. We just had a presence at the Boise Pride Parade, was the weekend or 2 ago. And so we really do take our responsibility seriously, where we want to be long-term partners for these communities where we operate. And like I said, I've been there many times. My goal for this year, my 2 oldest are little boys who love football. So I'm really hoping to bring them to the Idaho Potato Bowl in December.
Okay.
Maybe I can get Bird to do some sort of sponsorship there or something like that. No, but it's been, the adoption and the reception in Boise has been really strong. It's really interesting. Idaho as a whole is a really strong state for us. So we operate in some other markets. We're in Idaho Falls. We're in Caldwell. We're in some other markets, in the state, and it's been a really great state for us, and it's one that I've enjoyed, going back to several times since I've gotten this job.
So where there's no docking stations, right? They're dockless scooters, and they're always well organized. Every morning, somebody comes and magically takes them and charges them, and then they show back up. And but if I were to pick one up and I wanted to go to the airport, am I able to go to the airport, or what's the range of these things?
Oh gosh, put me on the spot, Paul. I don't know. That's an operation.
Is it time, or is there a fence? Is there like some type of geofence?
Every city's a little bit different, and sometimes we do have cities where we can operate in most of the city, but maybe they don't want us in a certain part of the city, or they don't. The downtown is too crowded or something. Whatever it might be, by the river, they don't want anything by the river. So whatever the case might be. And so we do have the geofencing technology to make sure if it's a part of the city that you're not supposed to be in, that the scooter will sort of gradually come to a stop, and the rider will be kind of notified that you kind of need to turn around and walk it back to the operating area. So I don't know off the top of my head if you go all the way out to the airport in Boise or not, but you should be able to get around most of the city on one of the scooters. Well,
I tell you what, when I see people riding these things, they've got the biggest smile on their face. And they can't be all bad, right?
It's a lot of fun. And I tell you what, it can be a little bit intimidating. You're sort of thinking, this, electrically powered scooter, and then you get on it, and the devices are really sturdy. They're really safe. And it is like you can kind of, you can manage the throttle. You can go as slow or as fast as you want, up to, I think some of the devices are built to go up to 18 miles an hour. Some cities don't let us go that fast, but you can kind of get going pretty good on these things, which is like you said, you kind of just get a big smile on your face every time you feel it take off.
Yeah. Well, I know that the CCDC and the Ada County Highway Department, they're working on, improving our roads for, businesses and downtown feel and for extra bike lanes, elevated bike lanes. I think that's just a great segue into, offering more mobility opportunities. And I think that's so important.
And one thing I'll say to that, Paul, that's a really good point. And I think especially in a city like Boise, which has seen such rapid growth and is going to continue to see such rapid growth, when you start talking about solving for problems like parking and transportation, right? Micromobility is really filling a void there and can continue to fill a void there to give people options to get around where you don't have to worry about, finding a parking spot on, on Friday night, date night downtown, or whatever the case may be. Right. So, I mean, I think you make a really good point about, I think the future is going to be continuing to expand options for people and expand modes of transportation to allow people to get around in the most efficient way possible. And something like Bird offers something that's pretty fun while we're at it, and no emissions. Right.
Right. Hey, let's talk about the technology just a little bit. I know that is the only thing that's constant in technology is change. And I see that you'd mentioned these Bird scooters are pretty burly. They're strong and they're resilient. What phase are we in? I saw on your website there's Bird 3, there's Bird Air, there's Bird Bikes. Tell us about what level of technology we're on right now here in the Treasure Valley.
Sure, absolutely, and I mean the technology has really evolved, right? Yeah. And so, both the Bird 2 and the Bird 3 scooter are some of the most advanced in the industry, and I think what struck me, being new to the industry and sort of learning the business when I started, is that it was really that these vehicles are a response to our city customers, right? So we've tried to figure out what works best for the cities. What do they want to see? We've literally, the Bird 3, you can drop it off of a building. It won't break. You can submerge it in water. The battery won't leak. It has self-sealing tires, right, that have gel. So they're partially filled with, they're semi-pneumatic tires. So it's partially filled with air and partially filled with gel, so that if it punctures, the gel seeps out and immediately seals the tire, and the rider shouldn't feel much of an interruption. So, I mean, these things are technologically really, really advanced. And we're the only one in the industry that use an IP68 battery as well, which means the battery lasts longer, which means the vehicle lasts longer. And we don't have to replace the vehicles as much. We don't have to replace it. The whole life cycle gets extended, right? And so the technology is really impressive. And then I think there's over 200 data points on the Bird 3 scooter that are firing at all times, sending back to our operations team that we're able to track. And then of course there's the app piece as well. And so the rider gets, we can communicate to the rider in the moment via the app as well as on the machine. So they're pretty impressive vehicles. And if you haven't had a chance to go for a ride, I would strongly encourage it.
So I got the website scrolling on the bottom of the screen, and you can actually download the app from goingbird.co. There's an opportunity to download it there. Hey, while I have you for a couple more minutes here, TJ, is there anything else that you'd like to educate the listeners on while I have you?
Yeah, I just think, Paul, like I said, the biggest thing I want to, leave listeners with is, we really are committed to being invested in the communities where we operate and want to operate. And we really do view it as a partnership, both with the city government and also important organizations like the Chamber. And so we hope to be in Boise for a long time. And I guess one other thing I didn't mention is there's an economic development piece too. I mean, studies have shown an increase in consumer spending tied to each scooter deployed. Emory University did a study that showed about a $2,000 increase in consumer spending at local businesses per scooter deployed. That was focused on mostly the food and beverage industry, the restaurant business, but we think there's an applicability there to other retail businesses as well. So there's an economic development piece, there's a sustainability piece, and again, the bottom line is it's a transportation solution for communities while simultaneously helping reduce car trips. I
love it. TJ, I just really wanted to thank you for your time and your investment here in the Chamber and the community. I've loved our partnership and our friendship, TJ, and just give us a call. We'll get you down to the Potato Bowl. No worries.
All right, that sounds good. I'm going to take you up on that, Paul. I can't wait for that. But same to you. Appreciate it. our relationship. And thanks for the invite today. This has been great.
Absolutely. Hey, have a great weekend. Enjoy the first bit of fall in Bend, and I'll call you when I'm in your town as well.
All right. Sounds good. Take care, Paul.
Bye.
Thanks much.